I arranged to meet a campaigner for the rural poor in the area, Cascote Gonzalez. It seems like a lot of the soy producers in this area then have made huge sums of money from soy in the last few years.
Yes, it's lots and lots of money. It's green gold for the soy farmers.
Has everyone in the town benefited from the soy trade, or is it just a few?
Absolutely, just the minority. San Pedro never used to have misery. There were poor people, but they had work. Now there's misery, shanty towns. The city is completely divided in two.
Increasing production of soy to feed pigs and cattle for meat in the West and in China means that less land will be used for crops like wheat and corn. This increases the price of basic foodstuffs like bread and has a huge impact on the world's poor, as Cascote explained.
The more soy that is grown in fertile countries which used to grow food for people, it's going to bring problems of hunger, not just for Argentina, but for the whole world.
Here in the Pampas, where the eating habits of Europeans and the Chinese are changing a whole way of life and condemning many to poverty, the consequences of globalization suddenly become very real. As we've travelled across this vast country, we've encountered a huge variety of people and stories in a nation gripped by changes that affect the whole world.
Argentina, vast country, small population. Half the nation's 40 million residents live in the capital, Buenos Aires, leaving many other parts of the country virtually deserted. So, how do you break down that isolation? Well, the Argentinian Education Ministry hopes that radio can provide the answer. Special community stations are being established, and it's teenagers who've been chosen to run the show. Cheap labor, I guess. From the far south of Argentina on the Patagonian coast, our reporter Candice Peard has more.
There's not much to do in Puerto Piramides. The village has a population of less than 400 people. The tourists come for the whale watching, but the winters are long and cold, and if you're growing up here, life can be boring. But things have been changing. Backed by the Ministry of Education, there's a new radio in town playing 24 hours of sports, health, arts and interviews with lots of music in between. But this is no ordinary radio station. The technicians, the presenters and the reporters are all teenagers. So this is Peninsula School Radio in Puerto Piramides in Patagonia, and it's a radio run by teenagers for the village. And as you can tell, it's a very small station. We've got Lautaro here running the desk, small mixing desk, and you've got Vicky there reading stories to kids. And with me here is Eileen Evore Montero. She's one of the presenters of the children's show this afternoon. She's about to read a story to the children listening to the radio.
My life has changed a lot. I've got things to do, more responsibility. I have to be on time. You have to be more organised.
Many of the students have found a new confidence. These two 16-year-olds running the football news slot have won a scholarship to study sports journalism.
Talking, that was the main problem. None of us wanted to talk on the radio, but we got used to it slowly, and we relaxed and got more confident at the microphone.
For others, the radio helped bring them back into the fold. Ruben here is a gifted guitar player. He dropped out of school, but he's back now, and he says the radio has opened new doors.
Soy amante de la computadora. Yo lo tomaba como una diversión cuando estaba.
I love computers, it's my main hobby. When I was alone I would make my own recordings, but the ideas were all for me. Now they say, we need a jingle, or can you edit this? And now I want to do this as a career.
The adults are taking part too. Parents have found the radio as a great new communication tool.
The other day I heard one mother rang into the radio to say, "Come home, your lunch is ready." We know so much more about each other now, and we've become a closer community.
We want to keep on these kind of projects. We don't know if all small towns need radios, but whatever they need, we want to show this model as an example to improve the quality of life in small towns by trusting adolescents to work on that.
The government wanted this project to show the young people of Puerto Piramides new ways of thinking about the future. It seems to have done just that, and the arrival of radio has enriched the lives of their community and bound it closer together. Candice Piet, BBC News, Argentina.
When it comes to young people seeking new opportunities, it seems that more and more Chinese students are finding their place at liberal arts universities right here in the US. On our website, we have a special report looking at the rising trend, and you can hear from the students taking advantage of these new opportunities.
The whole culture is so new to me, and this small campus really helped during my first year while I was adopting all of these new values that I didn't have in my own culture.
And to hear the full report, simply go to bbc.com/World News America.
Welcome back. The Gaucho is to Argentina what the cowboy is to America. Hero of the 19th century novel, a fighter, a poet, a man as free as the wind on the Pampas plains. The Gaucho is in fact the lonely tough guy. But as Candice Piet reports, they've become an endangered species in a world where economic reality impinges on even the most carefully tended national myth.
Cattle ranching is an essential part of the Argentine economy. It's deeply ingrained in the culture. These heifers will provide top-quality beef for export and the Argentine table. And at the heart of the culture is the figure of the Gaucho, the solitary cowboy celebrated in song and literature for hundreds of years.
To be a gaucho, you need to love animals and respect them. Even if they seem tame, every animal has its bad day, so you need to show respect.
It's skilled work. These men have been working with cattle and horses all their lives.
The Gauchos here are branding cattle today, and their skill as horsemen and their countryside knowledge and their tradition is very much alive here in Argentina today. But the question is, will this tradition survive the revolution of soya?
Over the last decade, Argentina has become the third largest exporter in the world of soya, mostly to China. Land that was only used for cattle pasture is now being planted as well. Cattle are being fattened instead at American-style feedlots, helped by government subsidies. It's a faster turnaround for ranchers taking advantage of booming world soya prices.
This year, 45% of all cattle in Argentina were finished off in feedlots like these. But the Association of Feedlots here in Argentina says that they expect that figure to rise to 60% in the next 5 years. And the impact is already being felt at the heart of rural life. The small town of San Antonio de Areco is a focal point for the Gaucho tradition.
Their annual parade is the highlight of the social calendar. Miguel Gomez has been working for 60 years as a gaucho. Every year he shows his horses at the festival.
Soya is killing off gaucho culture. I look after 5,000 hectares, 3,000 are now soya. All of the good land goes to soya. I think a lot of our tradition and skills will die out.
But for the younger generation, the changes in agriculture are saving rural jobs. Jonathan Greco works on a local feedlot.
On grassland, 3 men can manage the cattle, but on a feedlot you need more people, managers, the vet, nutritionists. There's more work for us.
Like the American cowboy before him, the Argentine gaucho is having to change with the times. And perhaps what will remain of their culture in the future will only be the songs that were once sung about them. Candice Piet, BBC News, Buenos Aires.
When it comes to the publishing industry in Latin America, Argentina is churning out the books at a rapid rate. Second only to Brazil, the country produced 22,000 new titles last year alone, and international acclaim has followed. But despite this success, books in Argentina are feeling the all-too-common pressure from the ever-expanding world of electronic media. So the city government of Buenos Aires has come up with a novel way to promote the art of reading. Candice Piet reports.
This cafe in downtown Buenos Aires was, in the 40s, 50s and 60s, at the heart of literary life. Great writers would meet here at the Hotel Castelar. Now it's been chosen with 14 other cafes, all connected to Argentina's golden literary age, for a special city government scheme to promote reading. Over a cup of coffee, customers can choose a book from a specially published selection.
We think that one of the most wonderful things about reading is sharing it with others. There is nothing more lovely than going to a cafe and meeting others who are reading the same thing you are and sharing what you felt about a poem or a book. Part of stimulating reading is stimulating this shared experience.
But these are no ordinary airport thrillers. They're the collected works of one of Latin America's most brilliant and complex writers, Jorge Luis Borges, immortalized rather luridly here at the Café Tortoni.
In Borges' time, Argentina was one of the most literate and educated countries in Latin America. But now only 10% of the population buys and reads books. So is this scheme going to go anywhere near helping the situation?
Books all over the world are competing with the new electronic media, and Argentina is no different. And crisis after economic crisis has impoverished many. Books have become expensive luxuries.
This initiative would only appeal to the people who already read, the well-educated middle-class people who dropped into the cafes and might find these books attractive. The thing is, how to encourage other people, I mean, especially the lower classes and the people who have not such a wide access to education. How do we promote reading at that level? And that's a challenge we have to face.
Borges loved to come to the Café Gato Negro, an old spice emporium, says his widow, Maria Kodama. She says he would have approved of the government's bid to promote book reading in cafes.
From his earliest years in his youth, in Spain and in Geneva and in Buenos Aires, he spent many hours talking and discussing literature with friends in different cafes.
The city authorities say other writers, both national and foreign, will be going onto their new cafe bookshelves next. The collections are going into the city libraries too. It's all part of a plan to promote reading ahead of the Frankfurt Book Fair in October. This year, Argentina is the guest of honour. But it may take much more than all this to get the general Argentine public reading again. Candice Piet, BBC News, Buenos Aires.